Professor Zenthara stared at the data streaming across her holographic display, her 3 hearts beating in an increasingly irregular pattern. As the Galactic Survey Committee's leading xenoplanet specialist, she had classified over 2,000 worlds in her career. She had seen planets where the rain was sulfuric acid, where the gravity could crush a starship, where the native flora consumed metal and the fauna hunted with plasma generation. But Earth was different. The initial classification was Class 13. She announced to the assembled committee, her voice carrying the weight of professional bewilderment. Standard Deathworld parameters: unstable tectonic activity, corrosive atmospheric moisture, extreme temperature variations, violent weather patterns, and a biosphere seemingly designed to kill anything that draws breath. The other committee members, representatives from 17 different species, shifted uncomfortably in their environmental suits. They were meeting on the research station objective distance, safely positioned 3 AU away from the blue-green nightmare they were studying. However, Zenthara continued, manipulating the holographic controls with her lower appendages. Recent observations suggest our classification may be inadequate. The display shifted to show Earth's surface. Counselor Breek, a methane breather from the Titan colonies, immediately recoiled. By the void, is that water just sitting there? Open to the atmosphere? 71% of the surface, Zenthara confirmed. Liquid dihydrogen monoxide, completely uncontained. The atmospheric pressure at sea level forces it to remain stable despite temperature fluctuations that would boil or freeze it on any civilized world. Dr. Molting's protective gel suit began secreting stress pheromones. The gravity readings indicate 9.8 meters per second squared acceleration. That's enough to liquefy most carbon-based life forms. How does anything survive down there? That's where it gets interesting, Zenthara said, pulling up biological scan data. The dominant species not only survives but apparently thrives in conditions that would be classified as extreme torture on most worlds. Observe. The hologram showed a human jogger in a city park. The alien observers watched in horrified fascination as the creature deliberately increased its metabolic rate while breathing the planet's corrosive oxygen-nitrogen atmosphere. It's poisoning itself for recreation? Whispered Counselor Vexera, her bioluminescent patches flickering in distress. The atmospheric composition is 21% oxygen, Zenthara explained. That's approaching weapons-grade oxidizer levels. It literally burns organic tissue at the cellular level. Yet the native life forms have evolved to require it for survival. She switched to another recording, a group of humans at a beach. The committee watched as the creatures deliberately exposed themselves to the radiation of their star while simultaneously entering the vast pools of liquid solvent. They appear to be enjoying it, Dr. Molting observed with academic horror. The star soul emits dangerous levels of ultraviolet radiation, Zenthara noted. Direct exposure causes cellular damage and genetic mutation. The human's response was to evolve a pain receptor specifically for radiation damage, what they call sunburn, and then ignore it. Counselor Breek was frantically checking his suit's integrity readings. Surely they don't consume anything from this hellscape? Zenthara's expression, what passed for one in her species, grew grimmer. She displayed a new set of data. Human dietary analysis reveals they routinely consume biological toxins for pleasure. Capsaicin, which triggers pain receptors and inflammatory responses. Ethanol, a cellular poison that causes organ damage. Caffeine, a neurotoxin that increases heart rate and blood pressure. They're eating poison, Vexera said faintly. For fun. Furthermore, Zenthara continued, they've domesticated the planet's predator species and keep them in their dwellings as companions. They've also selectively bred many of these creatures to enhance their most dangerous characteristics. The hologram showed a human child playing with a large canine, followed by footage of a human swimming with creatures the database identified as sharks. Dr. Molting was now continuously secreting stress gel. Perhaps they don't understand the danger? On the contrary, Zenthara replied, they're fully aware. They've created extensive classification systems for dangerous activities and then participate in them voluntarily. Mountain climbing, where they ascend to altitudes with insufficient oxygen. Deep diving, where they enter the crushing depths of their liquid solvent oceans without protective exoskeletons. Something called bungee jumping, where they throw themselves from great heights with only an elastic tether preventing their destruction. She paused as the committee absorbed this information. But the truly disturbing aspect is their response to actual threats. When faced with genuine danger, they don't flee or seek shelter. They form groups and attempt to dominate whatever is threatening them. The display showed historical footage, humans fighting massive predators, sailing across violent oceans, building settlements in volcanic regions, establishing colonies in frozen wastelands where the atmospheric moisture crystallized and fell from the sky. They've weaponized every aspect of their environment, Zenthara continued. Fire, explosive chemicals, accelerated projectiles, even splitting the atom itself. They've turned their Deathworld into a Deathworld manufacturing facility. Counselor Breek's voice was barely a whisper through his suit's speakers. What's their survival rate? Approximately 100%. The committee sat in stunned silence. Technically, Zenthara said, consulting her notes, Earth meets all criteria for Class 13 Deathworld designation. However, given that the dominant species has not only survived but achieved spaceflight capability while maintaining their death-seeking behavioral patterns. She paused, her digits hovering over the classification controls. I'm upgrading Earth to Class 14. Possibly Class 15. What's the difference? Dr. Moulting asked weakly. Class 14 means the planet produces beings capable of surviving anywhere in the galaxy, Zenthara explained. Class 15 means the planet produces beings capable of making anywhere in the galaxy survivable for them. She looked at the latest intelligence reports from the human space program. Given that they've begun exporting their atmospheric composition to artificial habitats and are currently terraforming their neighboring planet to match their homeworld's hostile conditions. Zenthara updated the classification. Class 15 it is. In the background, barely audible, the station's communications array picked up a transmission from Earth. It was a human song, something about leaving their home planet to explore the galaxy. The committee unanimously voted to recommend maximum safe distance protocols for any future human contact. After all, if humans could survive Earth, what couldn't they survive? And more terrifyingly, what couldn't they make others survive alongside them?